Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Thursday. Today is January 16th. It is also National Fig Newton Day. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of Fig Newtons. So anyway, today what I wanted to touch on, the Biden administration released on their way out the door, and they released new rules governing AI chips, the sale of these chips. It really tells you how a lot of Washington is looking at the development of AI around the world. And I've touched on this in other videos before. But first, the one thing you have to understand is that a lot of the things that are happening with the Biden administration are actually being done in concert with the Trump administration. For example, the national security, during this transition period of time, both national security teams are meeting daily, weekly. They're sharing information. They're really trying to bring each other. The Biden administration is really working to build the Trump administration up to speed. And by Trump's own admission, that has been very, very good that they're working together. Thank goodness that our adversaries won't exploit a potential weakness or lack of communication between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. They're really working to hand off this baton in a way that keeps America safe. But anyway, so one thing I want to say is that these new Biden rules, you have to imagine that they were talked about in these big meetings between both national security teams. That's number one. Number two, putting some of these rules out there gives the Trump administration automatic leverage when they come in for countries that want to have these rules removed. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Right now, what the Biden administration came out with on Monday saying is that they are going to actually really tighten their AI ban. Basically, countries that NVIDIA could sell chips to, AI chips, and companies like NVIDIA. So what the Biden administration is starting to do is they're starting to look at this as kind of a tiered system, okay? The top of the tier are our allies. Our allies, you think England, Germany, France, et cetera, they can get as many chips as they can handle, right? So we're trying to create a Western alliance where AI has become as valuable, even more so, than weapons. So we're now selling these AI chips. What the Biden administration wants to do is sell them just to our allies. Then you have a second tier of people. We think of countries like Saudi Arabia, where they get access to a restricted amount. They get capped. You can get 1,000 AI chips a month or 500 a month or 10,000 a year, whatever the heck it is. So that second tier, who are not really solid allies, but they're kind of right in the middle. We do business with them. They're our frenemies. We do business with them sometimes. We agree with them on a lot of things. We don't agree with them on a lot of things, but they are not like treaty allies or part of that Western or North Atlantic treaty organization, NATO alliance, really, which is very, very important. And then finally, of course, you have restricted countries that are on the restricted list, and who those are: Iran, China, certainly North Korea, Russia, et cetera, et cetera. So the way the Biden administration is doing, they're basically going out to their allies and saying, look, you got to stay with us. We will give you access to the best chips on the planet, which is really the key to the future. They're saying to the middle countries like Saudi Arabia, look, you better come along with us if you want to get moved from that middle list where you get, let's say, 10,000 NVIDIA chips a year, and you want to make it up to the unrestricted list where you get as many as you want. You got to do what we say. In Saudi Arabia's case is make a peace deal with Israel, for example. And then, of course, at the bottom. So everybody in the bottom tier wants to make it to the middle tier. Everybody in the middle tier wants to make it to the top tier. So you can see how this is really starting to play out in terms of national security, the access to these AI chips. That's how important they are. And we talked about this quite a bit here. Make no mistake about it. The person or the country that masters the use and the application and the integration of these AI chips through the most of their society is going to be dominant in the next 100 years. I mean, it just gives you a leapfrog, a giant leap into the future. So I thought that was interesting. The fact that you don't have the Trump administration, the transition team coming out and saying anything bad about this implies that they understand it, they agree with it, because Lord knows Trump has come out and said certain bad things about other things that Biden has done during this transition time post-election. So it implies that the Trump administration is sitting in the same room with the Biden team. The Biden team is telling them what they're going to do. The Trump team is saying, sure, Okay, great. It just gives us a stronger hand to play when we come into office on January 20th. So anyway, I thought that was worth pointing out as the great game keeps getting played out. Now, in the past 2 years, the fact that AI chips have become such a powerful part of the global power competition between the US and China and Russia, the West and China and Russia, that it's just absolutely fascinating. The world has changed that much in the past couple of years. Anyway, that's all I have today. Have a wonderful Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow.